What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing good. My name is Anthony K. Thomas, and welcome to my social media book tour for my book, A Walk Through Hong Kong. So, before I really get into this book, everything about it, I want to read a little bit from this book. There are two things I'm going to read from this book. So, I'm going to start off with, I want to start off by reading the prelude, just to give you an introduction into the book and how it really starts and how it starts. So, the prelude. Why Hong Kong? It's 2029. Everyone has the holiday season behind them and settling into the new year after celebrating by staying up late, drinking, dancing, having a great time, forgetting about what is happening around the world. Gas prices are high, and two different contagious diseases continue to hover hover around the world. In America, if you're middle class, you're surviving but barely. If you're poor, you're lucky if you're able to pay any of your bills, and eating is a sacrifice depending on any particular month. Things like theme parks, movie theaters, Broadway shows, sporting events, and pro wrestling shows have become harder to afford in an economy held together by glue. Since the summer of 2026, during the gas dry season, when every state in America was either very low or completely out of gas, people traded their cars for electric vehicles and doubled the number of EVs uh, are on the road. When the number of EVs became more than gas powered vehicles, the amount of smog in the skies of cities and towns across America began to dissipate. For the first time in a long time, the skies were clear and the air was cleaner. People began to see more positives than negatives in EVs. Since 2025, people have taken to the streets in every major city, town, and rural area, protesting everything that the Trump administration had done to make things harder for the American people that are not millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires. Journalists would report on corruption within the administration, even on the even on the corrupt things that Trump, pardon me, that even on the corrupt things that President Trump was doing. But no matter how loud the people in the streets were, no matter the reporting in newspapers, books, and TV, it didn't stop or scare those in power from stopping what they were doing. They continued to keep going because they knew one no one would never be able to stop them. As the good and bad in the world kept spinning, in the second week of January of 2029, Thomas Drake, or Tommy as he likes to be called in the book, biracial, 26-year-old from Los Angeles, California, worked in advertising for Spicy Tribe. Thomas worked in the creative department, working on the conception, development, pro- and producing the visual and textual elements in an advertising campaign. Thomas worked as part of a team putting the best ads together that would sell great for the company and for people that would see the ads. Thomas's life in the last 4 years has been rocked by tragedy and sadness. It started in 2024 when Thomas's mother died from breast cancer. Then that followed 2 years later when he and his girlfriend broke up, when they felt their lives were going in different directions away from each other. Since then, Thomas had kept his life mostly quiet. When Thomas would get off from work, he would go home, cook, or buy dinner for himself. On weekends, he would go out and do errands that he couldn't do during the week. Thomas had transitioned his life into a simple, lonely one. He didn't have a girlfriend, and all his friends were married and about to become parents. Since his breakup with his girlfriend 2 years ago, Thomas's luck with women and relationships became unlucky. Thomas would go on dates and meet women when he was out, but nothing would stick. There didn't seem to be a woman that liked Thomas enough to want more than a second and third date with Thomas. Soon enough, Thomas took a break from dating, took a break from the rejections, and focused on his work. Thomas had been working for Spicy Tribe for 5 years. His boss and the owners have liked the work Thomas had been doing for them. So, A Walk Through Hong Kong is a story about Thomas Drake, who one day gets a promotion that takes him clear across the other side of the world to Hong Kong. And with everything that he's expecting from this new promotion, the responsibilities, the possible long days, the possible long nights, what he doesn't expect is when he meets a beautiful biracial woman named Amanda Lee. A Walk Through Hong Kong is a story that I didn't expect to is a story that's part of a series. So to get into that, not too long ago, I wrote a book, a love story called A Walk Through Hong Kong. I'm showing you both right here because there's a first and second edition. A Walk Through Hong Kong is a story about a young biracial man named James who is a writer and catches his girlfriend cheating on him. Her name was Lisa, and he has a best friend named Jessica that eventually that is always there from him. She works in childcare as a director for a preschool. Anyway, James wakes up one morning after feeling what he felt, packs a bag, goes to the airport, takes the first flight out of town, and that takes him to London, where he eventually meets a young woman named who meets a young woman named Sophia, who is going through a bit of tragedy herself after her boyfriend Jacob is gets in a horrible explosion at work. Jacob, working for in a garage, works has a garage that is on the same streets as a propane tank store. A explosion happens at that propane tank store, and the explosion is big enough that it engulfs most of that neighborhood, including Jacob in the garage that he works at. So that killing Jacob, Sophia going through a bit of sadness and tragedy herself, eventually goes to a restaurant called Rooftop, which is the same restaurant that that James finds himself at after arriving in London and getting to his hotel and to have some dinner. And these two meet and bump into each other, and it kind of goes from there. And that's a walk through London and that's a story of about love, the unexpectancy of love, and how high it can go and how low it can unexpectedly just go away. And the thing about A Walk Through London was that there are two different endings, and I really prefer the ending from the second edition, but both endings are just as good. And I thought that was going to be it, just a walk through London. And there's always an idea that I thought maybe good, this could make for a good series where the you just change the name of the country you're going to or the city you're going to. A walk through this, a walk through that. So just be like a walkthrough series basically. And I didn't really have anything, but I did have this story about that I wrote while I was working on a completely different book. And it was about a guy who was in Hong Kong who met this woman and who felt he was brave enough just to go up to this woman and instead of running game and saying shit just to try to get her out on this date, he was just going to be upfront and honest about his intentions with this woman. And that was all I had. And then I finished my latest book, which is out now, um, called my latest book before A Walk Through Hong Kong, called A Lasting Love. And I was looking at what I was going to do next. I was either going to do like this sci-fi thing called which I'm now calling The Experiment, or like this other kind of story which is a bit of a love story but looking back on things that he missed opportunities in, with which is kind of like this writer kind of sitting down and being interviewed, and this interviewer asked this questions about if there's anything from his life that he regrets. There was that. There was also this kind of like horror type of story that I was thinking about also starting to work on, which is about social media, um, which I probably will do at some point. But I found myself really wanting, found myself attached wanted to be attached to this Hong Kong thing. I wanted to see it through. So as I sat down and I started writing it, um, the first name that came out when I was thinking about titles while I was working on the book was A Walk Through Hong Kong. And I was just like, this is, and then that's when it hit me that, oh my God, this could be a series. And then I added, and then it just kind of just went from there. And I just kind of, and the whole story started to make a lot more, started to make sense that this guy, Thomas Drake, originally from Sonoma, California, who knew James and Jessica at one point, were friends with them, being able to connect characters from the previous story of A Walk Through London with this new story, A Walk Through Hong Kong, and that friendship right there, and how Thomas ended up going from Sonoma to Los Angeles and then eventually to Hong Kong, how that all kind of made sense with his own life. Um, and there you go. I had a story. I had this walk through Hong Kong and this walkthrough series. And there you go, a walk through Hong Kong. Beautiful. And it's fun because it it puts you at times, it puts you in Hong Kong when I name the streets and the places that Amanda Lee eventually takes Thomas when he shows them around Hong Kong, and really making you feel like you're in these places that are very beautiful places, and how safe Thomas eventually feels being in Hong Kong with how low the crime is, feeling a lot safer to walk at night in Hong Kong, unlike not feeling as safe being able to walk around in Los Angeles because of the crime rate in Los Angeles at times. But just having that feeling of safeness um, in Hong Kong and how the crime rate works, how it's there, and there's a trust and a safety being in Hong Kong, being able to walk at night, no problem. So being able to feel all those things, understanding what that is, what Thomas is feeling, and how, and then eventually how this relationship grows, and then understanding the points of love, reaching these points of love, and how sometimes when you reach those points in love, you don't, you feel a sense, there's a fear that comes with it, and you start looking for your own excuses to break up the relationship, to end it, and then starting all over again. But but hoping that Thomas and Amanda, or Tommy as he likes to be called in the book, can be the exception to their past relationships. So A Walk Through Hong Kong, it's available now, barnesandnoble.com, on Amazon. There's a link in my bio. And before I end this, there is one thing that I'm going to read from one of the chapters. Just got to find it. And let's get to it. Just bear with me for a moment. Um, and I should have put a bookmark in. I apologize. I should have just put a bookmark. I mean, I knew the chapter that I was going to read, and I should have put a bookmark in it. So here we go. This is from chapter 5. It's called Disillusionment. And I'm just going to read a little. There might be a little dialogue in here that I'll read as well. But let's get to it. So, in a relationship, disillusionment is when the fades and flaws of the honeymoon part of the relationship becomes apparent. And usually that's when the relationship ends, when one or the other uses flaws as an excuse for why the relationship must come to an end. When the relationship reaches the disillusionment stage, instead of finding a reason to end the relationship, a couple could use this stage of the relationship as an opportunity to say the things they didn't say in the first two stages of falling in love and becoming a couple. A couple could use this stage of the relationship to practice realistic, unconditional love and grow deeper as a couple. One major thing about relationships is that talking is one of the most important things in allowing your relationship to grow. Talking and honesty. If you love your partner, then loving them means being able to trust them with anything and everything you tell them. Having someone you love means you are there for each other, not just on the sunny days, not just on the sunny good days, but also on the rainy bad days too. When reaching the disillusionment stage of the relationship, taking the opportunity to to be honest and allow your love to grow and reach a stage that not a lot of people reach, a lasting love. Tommy and Amanda had reached the disillusionment stage in their relationship, a stage they are very familiar with. It's a stage, like many people, have never gone past. They have been they have been both guilty of reaching this stage and feeling an excuse feeling an excuse to end the relationship. The other times, the ones they were with would use the stage to find a reason to end the relationship. But as they were reaching 3 years into their relationship, they felt there were there were a few things about each other that could be used as a reason to end it. But instead of using those reasons, they both chose to stay they both chose to say the things they never said before. A Walk Through Hong Kong, like I said before, is now available on BarnesandNoble.com or on Amazon. There's a Linktree link in my bio. Go ahead and click on that link. That will take you to my Linktree page, where you will see a walk through Hong Kong as well as many other books and short stories I have available now. A walk through Hong Kong, part of this series now that I call a walk through. And I appreciate all you for watching and for listening. This has been my social media book tour. If you go ahead and check out the book, go ahead and check out A Walk Through London as well. Both editions, first and second edition. And go ahead and also check out previous episodes of my social media book tour for all my other books that I do this for. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up when I drop things like my social media book tour, a backseat reading, or anything else here on my AKT Publishing YouTube channel. For now, I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and I appreciate all of you once again for watching. And I will see you all on that next one. And don't forget to take care of yourselves. Peace, y'all.